TV. My name's Craig. It's 12 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a Q&A. Now, this is where I take all the questions that you've asked over the course of the week and I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Now, first of all, I want to say a big thank you to everybody that's left questions this week. I really appreciate it. I film these typically on a Wednesday, so if you do want to guarantee to get your question answered, make sure you leave it by Wednesday at the latest. If I don't answer it, I'm very sorry. Please leave it again and I'll get to it the following week. There are a stack of questions on this week's show, a lot of them dealing with Netrix. So for anybody who's asked, if you want to sign up to Netrix, you can absolutely do so. Just go to www.thenetrix.com. If you want to support the channel, that is a fantastic way to do so. It's a platform that I'm spending almost every waking hour on, improving and doing stuff behind the scenes, and I just get more and more excited about it every single day. So that should cover all the questions about Netrix. But without further ado, let's get into some of the other questions. Okay, so the first question is by Andrew Wigan, and Andrew says, how do you deal with looking at simple and wildly overdone tricks like the Chicago opener and want to give people something great that they've never seen before, even though you've seen it 1,000 times, they probably haven't, and you know it's a timeless classic that everyone does for a reason, but you still feel like you're taking the easy way out? Okay, that's a great question, and we'll use Chicago opener as an example because that's what you've used. But there's a lot of tricks that probably fall under this category. For those people that are watching that don't know what Chicago opener is, another name for it is Red Hot Mama. And the idea is that someone picks a card, it's lost in the pack, one card turns red, it's their card, that card gets put to one side, and then you have another card picked, and you try to do the trick again, but it fails, and the reason it fails is because the red card that you put to one side has actually turned into the second selection. So it's a classic of magic. A lot of close-up magicians do it. It's one of those routines that's guaranteed to get a great reaction. So Andrew's question is, how do you deal with this? Because obviously it's a trick that everybody does. And he's right. People probably haven't seen it before. There's very few people out there that have seen close-up magic live. The first time they see you is probably going to be the first time they've seen a close-up magician live. So, just because it's a trick that's been done to death from your point of view, doesn't mean it's something that they've never seen before. And that's something to consider when you're performing magic. A classic is a classic for a reason. Doesn't matter how many times it's been done, it's still going to get a good reaction. But your question is, do you feel, you feel like you're taking the easy way out? How do you deal with that feeling? So I suppose there's a couple of different ways of doing it. The first way is, understand that it's not really too much of an issue, because ultimately the most important thing is entertaining the audience. And if you've got a trick that entertains the audience but you feel like it's been done to death, as long as they're enjoying it, then that's great. Now, if you're doing a trick and every single time you do it, people are going, I've seen that one, then it might be time to switch things up a little bit in your act. But it sounds like that's not the case here. So that's an important consideration. But on the flip side of that, you want to perform magic that makes you feel good. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we've all seen those magicians that phone it in, that go through the motions, that do the same stuff that they've done their entire life. You've seen them, those same magicians that do the same 5 tricks over and over again, and they're kind of just going through the motions now. They're not even interacting with people, they're just delivering the same scripted lines. And that happens because things get stale. So I do agree that it's also a good thing to do to change it up. So how do you do that? Well, there's a few different options. The first option is learn some more magic and replace it. Find something that's as good as that trick and replace it with something that's even better. And you might be thinking, well, that trick plays really, really well. Find something else that plays really well. The reason it probably plays really well is because you've done it a million times. But, you find something else and you put enough work in, that will become another 1,000-timer for you as long as you put the effort in. The other way that you can deal with this is by taking the trick and varying it or changing it up to make it your own. So there's been lots of different variations of Chicago opener over the years. Just off of the top of my head, Fine Print by Jay Sankey is a fantastic way to do Chicago opener. And the second phase is very different because of the fine print that's on the specially printed playing cards. You can get those from Penguin Magic. Also, Tom Wright put a trick out many years ago called Parental Advisory, I think it is, which combines Chicago Opener with like a card and a drink, or a card and a box, or a card and a watch. That's a really good way of doing it as well. So that's something you might want to look into. More recently, Cody Fisher has brought a trick out through Penguin that is in essence the same as Chicago Opener, but it changes the premise because the writing on the back of the card changes from his card to her card. You need to see the performance really, or you need to see the trailer in order to understand it. But if you search Cody Fisher on Penguin, you'll see that routine. The point is, just because everybody does Chicago Opener the same way, and you're right, you know, everyone does it 1,000 times, you know, change it up, vary it up. What can you do with Chicago Opener to make it different? How can you make that trick different? And this is something I like to do all the time. You know, when I brought out Visible and all of the different projects where I actually sort of take a deep dive into a particular trick, I look at how that trick's done. I look at how every single person does that trick. And then I kind of think about all the different ways that you can actually do that trick that's not been done before. So maybe that's something you want to do. You have a situation here with Chicago Opener where you have the premise of the trick where a card changes color on the back, right? So how are you going to change that? Okay, well, off the top of my head, what about if instead of a playing card, it's a double backer? Like a red-blue double backer. So now the premise is changed almost immediately, because now what will happen is the card will turn strange card. You'll have a stranger card in the deck. But when you do a double turnover, you can then flick it and it'll change back to the same color as the deck, and you can talk about how it's an illusion. What would happen if you put writing on the back of the card like Cody Fisher has? How would that affect things? What direction would that take the trick in? Could you take that card that's turned red and do a 4 of a kind production and split it into 4 of a kind? Would that work? And if so, what would that look like? Could you do a mystery card combined with Chicago Opener? And if so, what would that look like? The point I'm trying to make is, ultimately, at the end of the day, the routines that we perform, you have to be excited about them. You have to be engaged in order to perform them. If you're just going through the motions, that's not good. So you need to figure out ways to spice it up and make it more exciting for you. And if you can't do that, then ultimately, and if it frustrates you, and I can tell from this message it has frustrated you, then bin it and put something else into your repertoire, something that challenges you and something that invigorates you, because ultimately your audiences will pick up on that, and that will give them a better experience of your magic. Okay, so the next question is from Adrian Suter, and Adrian says, "Hi Craig." Hi Adrian. In coin magic, what are the advantages and disadvantages of foreign currency coins versus local currency coins? Well, I mean, you know, it's just down horses for courses. Which way do you go? It's completely up to you. Obviously, the advantage of local currency is that you can borrow the coins, or it appears more organic. So, for example, if I am out and about, if I'm not at a gig and I'm just going around a friend's house, or I'm meeting somebody socially at a bar, for example, and I borrow 4 £2 coins, or I bring 4 £2 coins out of my pocket, well, ultimately that's going to look a lot more organic than making silver dollars appear, or by bringing a purse with silver dollars out, right? So the big advantage for local currency coins is they appear, it appears more organic, basically, right? That, for me, though, is the only advantage, unless you're wanting to do a trick where you're borrowing a coin. So, for example, merriment is a perfect example. You borrow the coin and you do the trick with the borrowed coin, it becomes far better than using coins of your own currency, or coins from a different country, right? Although, having said that, more and more people these days aren't carrying coins around with them. You try it, you go into a gig and say, "Can I borrow a coin?" Most people are like, "Nah, I've only got card." I don't carry coins around with me anymore, ever. So if I don't, I'm sure a lot of people don't. But that's the big advantage, that it appears more organic. For me, the big advantage of foreign currency coins, and I'm talking about half dollars, walking liberties, silver Morgan dollars, peace dollars, barber halves, things like that, is they're just really beautiful coins. The fact that they're solid silver, just they look more quality. They sound a little bit better because they're soft, they're easier to palm. If you're doing multiple palms or you're doing, shifting coins around from palm to palm, that becomes a lot easier when you're using silver half dollars or silver dollars. Also, silver dollars are bigger, so they're more visual. So when I'm performing to a big table, for example, if I'm using silver dollars and they're up here, people are going to see them better. And you can get more gimmicks for coins like that, because most magicians use coins like that. You get more gimmicks. Now, the obvious disadvantage is, I live in England. Why am I bringing out a purse with American coins in it? Well, I've never had a problem dealing with that. All I do is I just build it into my presentation. I'm either going to produce them by magic, in which case, if I could really produce coins, why would I produce £2 coins when I can produce beautiful big silver dollars? If I have the ability to make things appear, why would I not use those? But if I'm going to bring them out in a purse, I just paint it red. And if you've seen any of my live performances, you'll know this. I just bring out the purse and I go, hey, what do you think of my manly purse? Pretty good, right? Inside this purse, there's coins, there's silver dollars. I collect American coins. Have a look at them. Aren't they beautiful? And you have people looking at the coins and examining them and touching them and going, oh, wow, are they real? Wow, they're really heavy, aren't they? And it kind of brings people in. Before I've even done any magic, people are being brought into this presentation. So I don't see an issue. Really, at the end of the day, if I'm booked to be a magician, if I'm carrying a chop cup around with me, if I'm carrying a magic wand around with me, if I'm carrying a little purse frame that I open up and little red balls appear out of it, whatever it is that I'm doing, if all of this weird and wonderful wacky stuff is okay, then why is it not okay to bring a silver American dollar out with me? So I don't have an issue at all in any way, shape or form. I know some people do, and that's absolutely fine. But I owe it to my audience to do the best possible performance that I can do. And ultimately that means using gaffs. And a lot of the gaffs that I want to use are only available in American coins. So that, for me, is the biggest overriding reason why I will always go for foreign coins. Okay, so the next question is again from Adrian Suter. It's another coin magic related question. And Adrian says, my favourite magic dealer here in Switzerland has several gimmicked Swiss franc coins, all made by Roy Coopers, a silver copper coin, an expanded shell, a flipper coin, and a hopping half set. None of these are cheap. As far as I know, they all come without a tutorial. Which of the gimmick coins is suitable for a beginner in coin magic and hobbyist? And where can I find good tutorials and routines? So, good question. All the gimmick coins are good. I mean, they really are. I mean, a hopping half set is relatively easy. If you dissect it down and you think about it as a sun and moon coin, there's an awful lot more than you can do with it. But just as a hopping half set, it's very, very easy and always packs a big punch. Expanded shell, flipper coin, copper silver coin, they're all beautiful coins and they all have pros and cons and they all have various different routines. Where's the best place to get good tutorials and routines? Well, I'm going to give you a couple. And again, I have to be biased, but Netrix is one of the best places to go, in my opinion, because we've got a very comprehensive sleight section of different coin concealments, different coin vanishes, click passes, utility sleights, whole bunch of different stuff. There's like literally, I think, about over 100 coin sleights. And then on top of that, there's loads of coin routines as well, using various different gimmick coins. So if you're new into coin magic, looking at the sleight section and then going from there and looking at some of the coin routines is a really great way to go. And one thing we're doing in the Netrix at the moment is we're actually doing, we're putting a new thing together that we've been working on for about 2 months, where you can fill in a form about the type of magic that you're into and the level that you think you are and the type of magic that you want to learn, and the system will kind of suggest to you which videos and which courses to watch first. So that's quite cool. I quite like that. But ultimately there's a ton of stuff in Netrix. That's a good place to start. Also, I know if you want to buy the set, the Mirage coin set is a good set to go for because it's got a whole bunch of different gaffs in there, and as well as the gaffs, it's got like a 5-hour tutorial. So the Mirage coin set's great. We cover a whole bunch of different routines that are appropriate from beginner all the way up to expert. I also did a couple of really good coin academies on Alakazam. I did a beginner one and an intermediate one, and eventually I'm going to do an advanced one as well. It's worth checking those out because I go through a bunch of stuff on there. So there you go. There's a lot of courses and stuff that I'd recommend. Outside of my stuff, look at the Metal series by Eric Jones. Look at the New York Coin Guys Symposiums by Michael Rubenstein, David Roth, Jeff Latter, and Mike Gallo. All of that stuff's really good. But ultimately, yeah, I'd start with the hopping halves. If you're very new to coin magic, I'd start with the hopping halves and then maybe progress to a flipper coin or a shell. Okay, so the next question is from Ray Chanine, and Ray says, "Hi Craig, where can I get or request cards with jokers on one side and king of spades on the other?" Very good question. It's not a gaff that I'm actually aware of, so it's not a gaff that I know of that's commercially available. But if you go to printbymagic.co.uk, I believe it is, you can ask for custom printed gaffs in any way, shape and form, and they'll be able to help you with that. So I'll go to printbymagic.co.uk. Alternatively, go to Card Shark. They also do the same service. So you can have custom gaffs printed up with either of those places. So contact both of them by email. Either one of them can help you. So it's just, I suppose, shopping around and finding which one's best for you. Okay, so the next question is by Sting, and Sting says, "I remember you showed us a piece where Ryland was the spectator in a stage show from Kimmo, and it was a cup roulette routine. Where can I find it to watch it? And where is the source to learn it? Can you help with that information?" Yeah, of course I can. It was on the Hidden Gems series. So if you go into the playlist section of this channel and you go to Hidden Gems has its own playlist. Have a look through there. It's called Watch the Water. So you can see the full performance on there. I talk about it on the Hidden Gems. It is available on Gary Dunn's DVD set. So Gary Dunn, who's an incredible magician over here, kids entertainer, magician over here in the UK, based up in Scotland. He put this DVD out through Practical Magic. He's now the owner of Practical Magic. He put this DVD out, and one of the routines on there was called Watch the Water. And that's the routine that I talked about. It's an amazing routine. There's a ton of stuff on that DVD that's really good. That routine in particular is exceptional. So go look at it on the playlist, the Hidden Gems playlist. Look for Watch the Water by Jun Kimmo. It's in there, and you can get it from Practical Magic. Next question is from Stars Magic. That's STRZ Magic. And Stars Magic said, "Is it possible to offer PayPal as a payment for Netrix?" Yes, it is something that we're working on. I think we're literally days away from actually integrating PayPal. We've had a few problems because of the platform getting PayPal to play nicely with the Netrix platform, but we're pretty much there now. If it is something that you want to do, email admin@thenetrix.com. That's admin, ADMIN, at thenetrix, THENETRIX.com, and explain to them you want to be set up via PayPal, and they can make that happen. Hopefully, we're about a week away from sorting that. So drop the email and they'll get back to you as soon as it's sorted. Okay, so the next question is from Darren Bain, and Darren says, "Hi Craig, love the recent Hidden Gems effect, the greatest magician in the world. I've learnt this and I've amazed some people with it, especially when borrowing their deck. Which leads me to the question, you're in a pub and someone hands you an old sticky deck which only say has 46 cards and says, 'Okay, Magic Man, amaze me. What do you do to blow their minds, assuming you have nothing on them and the deck is the only option?' Okay, so what do I do with a knackered up deck of cards that looks like it's been put through the ringer once or twice and it isn't a full deck?" Great question, because obviously with decks like that, sleight of hand is pretty much out of the equation. So you can't really do, you might be able to do a double lift at a push, but not really. So what do you do? Well, I tell you what, Simon Lovell, back in, like we're talking about the 1980s, he put a DVD out, or 1990s, he put a DVD out through Vic Pinto's production company called Trigger Tape, and the VHS, this is how old it was a VHS tape. The VHS tape was called From a Dog-Eared Deck, and it was all routines that you could do with a dog-eared deck, the sort of deck that you actually described. And I'll never forget one of the routines that Simon put on there, that for many, many years when I was in university, I did this like in bars all over the place. And it's the right crowd, right time, right place. It kills. And it's called Submarine Card. He called it Submarine Card. And basically the idea is that you had a card picked and you controlled it to the top. Now, even in a dog-eared deck, it's very, very easy to control the cards at the top of the deck, right? So he controlled the cards at the top of the deck, and then he took somebody's pint that was like about half drunk, and he dropped the deck into the pint. So that forces the beer up, so it's almost near the top now, and the deck is submerged, and he just kind of shows his hand empty, and he plays it a little bit like the bear trap, like the world's most dangerous card trick. So he reaches into this pint of beer and just like reaches in and pulls out one card, and it really looks incredible. It really looks like you've just gone in and pulled one card out the middle, and really you're just grabbing the top card, and you go, what was your card, and they tell you, and you turn it round. That's a really fun routine to do in a bar. The deck, it doesn't matter if it's dodgy. In fact, the dodgier the better, because that makes the routine funnier, in all honesty. But yeah, that works really well. The other thing that you could do in that scenario that doesn't require sleight of hand is pull Curry's Out of This World. The kind of the updated version that Michael Amar did, where it's from a shuffled deck and you're holding up cards and you're putting them down one at a time. It's a little bit of a longer routine. It's kind of like a pipe and slippers routine. But when you're in a bar and you've got people's attention, it can be a really killer trick to be able to do. Right time, right place. This trick absolutely kills. Now, the version I've used for years was published by Michael Amar on the Easy to Master Card Magic series. So if you want to know the version I do, just go to Michael Amar's Easy to Master Card Magic series. But that routine works really well in a bar situation as well. So those are the two that I do, but if you want a real big tip, try the submarine card. It's a killer routine. Okay, so the next question is by Sting again, and Sting says, hey Craig, and there's two questions here which kind of work together as one, so I'll read both of them out. Hey Craig, you mentioned your EDC in a wallet named Gossip over and over. I wonder if this is just for English-speaking people, or is language barrier, or is it a language barrier issue? And he's got a follow-up question. Please pretend you're a hobbyist in Germany and you see some nice tricks online. You watch the trailer and you start thinking this product could be interesting. Then you watch some reviews on YouTube by the usual suspects, but at the end, it's a product that has a language barrier and is produced in English only. Now, what would you do? Let's assume you know the method from watching the performance. What would you do? So let's take the Gossip question first of all. Gossip, actually, when you buy it, you get the files as part of the project. So you actually get the files, which is unheard of really in the Magic community. But we give you the files for the special piece of paper that you need. And one of the files has it blank. So you can take that file, you can put it onto your computer, and you, or if you're no good at this sort of thing, you can hire a programmer or something, or a graphic designer, somebody who can do this sort of thing. You can go in there and you can adapt it to however you want to see fit. So any writing on there, you can adapt, absolutely not a problem. Now, Gossip really doesn't really have a language barrier because all of it is based around names. Now, there is the title of the thing that's like the top 10, but really 99.99% of the writing on Gossip is the name of the celebrity, and the name is not going to change in any country. So really, it's not too much of an issue, to be perfectly honest, unless you're in somewhere where you're not using the English alphabet. So that's Gossip. But in terms of your other question, I suppose you know the method from watching the performance. What would you do? I think you're kind of guessing at, if they don't sell a version that can work in your country, are you okay with making your own up? Realistically, I would speak to the creator about this, or the person that holds the rights to the trick, rather than just assuming it's okay for you to make it up. Speak to them. They might be bringing another version out. So, for example, I've got a trick that's coming out through Murphy's in the next few weeks, and it's coming out with an English version, and there's a USA version. So there's two versions that are going to be coming out of this trick. Now, we've already got lined up, assuming the trick is successful, we've already got lined up different versions for different countries. So, but you wouldn't know that from watching the trailer. You just watch it and go, oh, this isn't going to work in my country. But it really, there's stuff happening behind the scenes that you might not know about. So I suppose the answer to this is speak to the creator, or speak to the production company that's filmed it, explain the situation to them, and tell them, what's happened, and yeah, just tell them what's happened, tell them the situation, tell them that you'd like to make a version of yourself, and see what they say. See what they say. But there's a very good chance that they're already planning to do something. So from an ethical point of view, you really do need to speak to either the creator or the producer. The next question is from Uneven Gamers. And Uneven Gamer says, how does Craig Petty unwind from a busy day? How do I unwind from a busy day? Man, well, firstly, I watch a lot of wrestling in my downtime. So a lot of the time I'll put on some wrestling. It might be the latest pay-per-view. I'm currently halfway through SummerSlam, which came up on Saturday, but I haven't watched it all yet. But I do love wrestling. I'm also a big genre TV fan. So anything like Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, anything like that, I'm a huge fan of. You might, I've just finished watching The Boys season 3. I'm just about to go on to Stranger Things season 4. So I like doing that sort of stuff as well. And then just hanging out with my family, to be honest. I mean, my favourite thing is hanging out with my family. Whether it be like family time, or it's like me and Ryland, or me and Thea, or me and the kids, or just me and Sarah. I like having a lot of family time. I'm very family focused, to be perfectly honest. It's why we're going to so many Magic conventions. I mean, as a family, we went to Blackpool. We went to the session. We're going to the London Magic Convention. We're going to the IBM. We're going to probably going to the one up north, Chris Cross's convention in November. We're going to the Magic Circle convention, and we go away as a family. A lot of the time, either me or Ryland are working the convention anyway, so it makes sense to go as a family. But that comes back to the thing that I love Magic. One of my favorite things to do, even though Magic kind of encompasses my day. I come back home and Ryland's there and he's like, hey, I've got a new trick I've been working on. Do you want to help me put it together? I'm not going to turn around and say no. I love Magic. I love my son. There's nothing I love more than sitting down and jamming Magic with him and helping him put something together. That's kind of one of my favorite things. So what do I do to unwind from a long day? It's great having Ryland and Thea because I'm introducing them to all the films that I grew up as a kid with. Goonies, Back to the Future, all of these. So yeah, it's really just family time and watching TV. Kind of boring, really, isn't it? The next question is from Antonio Diaz Ballesteros, and Antonio says, hey Craig, great video again, thank you very much. I'd like to know what your thoughts on FISM. I am very happy with the good results of the Spanish team this year, and so you should be. Spain has absolutely nailed it. Look, I have the utmost respect for anyone who appeared at FISM. Forget about whether they placed or not. Just the fact that they made it to FISM is incredible and something that they should be proud of. And I'll be honest, I personally think that being invited to and competing at FISM is bigger than winning any competition over here in the UK. You could win the IBM competition. You could win every competition there is to win. That is trumped by being invited to perform and enter at FISM. I mean, it's just so prestigious. I believe that, although I never saw the act myself, I believe that Edward from the UK, Edward Hilsom, has done a fantastic job. As you would expect, he's the consummate professional, so well done to him. I am so happy that my friend Eric Tate came third in card magic. Now the entire world knows what I've known for years, which is Eric is one of the best magicians in the world. Not just card magicians, he's one of the best magicians in the world. And Penguin need to hold on to him really tightly because honestly, he's a huge asset to that company. And also Shoot Ogawa. I'm a massive Shoot fan. I always have been, I always will be. To see Shoot bring home the gold, well done Shoot. Fantastic, well deserved. One of the best sleight of hand experts in the world, in my opinion. So yeah, FISM was great. I mean, I didn't go, so I'm getting second-hand information. But I know there's a lot of awards given out. I hear that Richard Kaufman won an award. Now, we don't always see eye to eye, but I've got the utmost respect for him. And yeah, absolutely, I can fully see why he won a award. And congratulations to him and anyone else. As I say, anyone who was at that convention, anyone that was at that championships representing their country. They should be so proud. Okay, so the next question is from Colin Ryder, and Colin says, thanks for answering my question. My next question should be how to order the Mirage coin set from Alakazam Magic without ordering extra magic. At this moment in time, I want to 4 items. Will the order be coming when I'm alcohol free? Regards, Colin. Hey man, I know what it's like. I go onto that Alakazam site and I end up spending an absolute fortune. So I'm right there with you. But I'm sure your pain and my pain is Peter Nardi's pleasure, and you know he's built up an incredible business that a lot of people respect him for. But I had so much fun filming the Mirage coin set with those guys, and I really hope you enjoy it. So the next question is from Jedi Wacko, and Jedi Wacko says, hi Craig, you mentioned your definition of EDC, and I agree with you. I'm looking to add more to have on me when I'm not even prepared to perform. Recently, I rediscovered my magic drawer, Keylicious by Jeff Price. That's a great trick. Keylicious, like Keymaster, can live with my keys. Whilst I can't speak for Keymaster, Keylicious takes a quick preset in order to perform. My question is, how would you handle EDC props that require a preset of less than 10 seconds? Okay, so what he's talking about here is you've got something on you, like a trick that's just part of your everyday carry, but you need to do something in order to get it to work. How do you do that thing? Well, you got to remember that my definition of EDC is I carry around something that organically looks like it's with me, so that if I get caught out and about and someone says, show me a trick, I can just go into it. So if I'm in a bar, for example, or a networking event or something, and the conversation is, I'll know, before somebody asks me to do magic, I'll know they're going to ask me to do magic. Now, I typically, in a social situation, I won't offer. So I'll not be the person that says, hey, would you like to see a trick? Because I want them to want to see the magic. I'll wait for them to ask me. And I'm very good at knowing when that's going to happen. And before it happens, before they realize they're going to ask me, I can very easily just be fiddling with my keys and do whatever I need to do in order to set that trick up before they even ask me to do a trick for them. It's like painting it red, right? You know, if there's an issue here, just literally do it right in front of their noses. And I do. They don't know what I'm doing. You know, they have no idea what I'm doing. I mean, it might look like I'm fiddling with some keys. It might look like I'm fiddling with some coins in my pocket, or whatever it may be. But that's going to allow me to put myself into a situation where I can then immediately take this thing out and do it when they start asking the question, hey, can we see some magic? So I suppose the big piece of advice on there is have magic with you as part of your EDC that you can go into immediately. But either prep the trick beforehand or do a trick that requires no prep and makes them want to look at it. Like Keymaster is the perfect example, because at the end of Keymaster, they just want to look at those keys. They just want to look at those keys, that everyone's looking at everything. I've got all the time in the world then to do whatever preset I need to do in order to go into another routine. Okay, so the next question is from James Samuel, and James says, hi Craig, big fan of James Samuel, by the way, he's one of the best. Hi Craig, I'm a big fan of books like The Show Doctor and Maximum Entertainment, 2 fantastic books. Are there any other books, lectures, or downloads on practical theory, performance, stagecraft that you would recommend? This is probably a topic that I should actually talk about at some point down the line in a longer video, but there's 2 things that immediately spring to mind. The first is Showmanship for Magicians. It's an older book, Showmanship for Magicians by Daniel Fitzke, I think it is. And that's an incredible book, like an absolutely incredible book, all about showmanship for magicians. And it's just brilliant. You can learn so much from there. It's a bit of a tough read. It takes a while to get through, but you'll get a lot of information out of there. The other thing that I would suggest, if you go onto the 1914 website, because this is only available through the 1914, which is the1914.com, click on Alexander Marsh and you will see a download called The Art of Stagecraft. Now, this is something that they brought out on launch. They actually launched with The Art of Stagecraft. And if you don't know Alexander Marsh, I'm sure you do, James. He's an incredible mentalist, has been working for years with Young and Strange on the Champions of Magic tour. And I've just brought it up here actually. He goes through everything. Here you go. Taught by the headline act for one of the world's most successful magic tours, this course contains immense value for magicians and mentalists of all skill levels. For beginners, this is your blueprint to becoming a stage performer you've always aspired to be. And for seasoned professionals, the course will give you a new lens to examine and improve your existing stage acts. And some of the lessons, there's 14 individual lessons on the art of stagecraft. The internal process, your persona, scripting, structuring effects, routines and shows, blocking and rehearsal, microphone technique, that's amazing. Openers, getting the gig, public relations, and much more. So yeah, I mean, that's just incredible. The art of series that 1914 do are brilliant. This was the first one, the art of stagecraft, and it's just incredible. I reviewed it as part of my review of the 1914 launch titles, and I gave it a great review, and I stand by that review. It's brilliant, so well worth checking out. Really, at the two, those are the only two that spring to mind. I'd go with this one first, the art of stagecraft first, but I'll do a longer video and go through some other stuff down the line, because there's a lot of other stuff we haven't even touched on Jeff McBride yet and some of the stuff that Jeff does. But for now, go check out The Art of Stagecraft by Alexander Marsh. Okay, so the next question is from Pratek Kohli, and Pratek says, "Hey Craig, love your Q&As, thanks very much. So, your peaks and impression devices, which would you prefer to attain information?" I prefer peaking, to be perfectly honest. I prefer peaking over impression devices. I always think that a peak is better than an impression device. Of course, if I get the impression device, I then have to get that information back off it somehow. I think that maybe impression devices are better for pre-show. So, you know, you give somebody a pad and they write something on it, and then you tell them to rip it off and hold on to it and don't let anyone look at it. And then as you walk away, you've got the information that you need. But I prefer a real-time peak, to be perfectly honest. The only variation or caveat on that would be the Mindbuster pads, the Mindbuster Pro, the Mindbuster Mini. All of those pads are absolutely fantastic, because it's not an impression device, but you're getting the information in the same way, kind of thing. I love those type of peak devices, but if I'm going for either a normal peak device or an impression device, it's going to be a peak device every single time. Okay, so the next question is Pratek Kohli, and Pratek Kohli says, "What's your top 3 personal favourite WWE matches of all time?" Well, I'll tell you right away. In no particular order. Okay, let's do an order. In third place, it would have to be. In third place, I'm going to put Bret Hart versus Roddy Piper in the 1990 SummerSlam. I think it was SummerSlam. I'm pretty sure it's SummerSlam. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's SummerSlam. It might have been WrestleMania. No, I think it was WrestleMania 8. WrestleMania 8. Maybe. It was for the Intercontinental Championship. I do think it was WrestleMania 8. I'm going mad. But it was Roddy Piper was the Intercontinental Champion. Bret Hart was challenging. The promo before the actual match was great. The match itself was absolutely fantastic. I love the moment where Hot Rod was going to hit Bret with the bell and then didn't and then lost. The whole thing was just so well done. In second place, I would have to say the first tables, ladders and chairs match between the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. Now, they ended up having tons of fights, and a lot of them were amazing. But I think the first TLC match, which I think from memory was SummerSlam 2000. It feels like it would have been SummerSlam 2000, but somebody's going to correct me. But that was definitely second place. That was incredible. And in first place, I'm going to go for the Hell in a Cell, Undertaker versus Mankind, Mick Foley, whatever you want to refer to him as. That was just, I remember when Foley went off the stage, went off the top of the cell through the table. I thought he was dead. I actually thought he was dead. I actually thought that Foley was dead. That just got to me big time. That match was incredible. So those would be the top three. Those would definitely be the top three. Yeah, I mean, there's so many good matches, isn't there? There's so many different matches you can pick. But I'd say probably the best three matches of all time, in my opinion, would be those three. Okay, there's one final question by Pratek Kohli, which is, can you suggest some mentalism books, not for routines, but to understand mentalism, psychology and performance? Well, I'm not a mentalist by any stretch of the imagination. Never have been. I do mental magic. I like looking at mentalism. So I'm going to miss out a ton of stuff here. But the books that have had a big impact on me and really made me sit up and pay attention when it comes to mentalism were the Colour series by Max Maven. The Colour series was absolutely incredible. Got that in my library. And also pretty much anything by Ken Dine. But the thing that I'm thinking of at the top of my head right now is, I think it's called Ben, is it? Or something like that. That's a really great book. Got a lot of psychology in there, but also got some really good routines. So you got the best of both worlds with that book. That's a really good book. There's a lot of heavy mentalism books that are out there, and I can probably put together a video of the best mentalism books of all time if it's something you're interested in. But off the top of my head, the two that spring to mind are those guys, Max Maven and Ken Dine. So hopefully that answers your question. So the next question is from Rob Bennett, and Rob says, most times when I attempt coin magic, people always say, why can't you do the tricks with our coins, as most coin tricks are with American coins? So learn a load of tricks that don't require American coins. That's the simple solution. There's tons of them out there. Look at Pure on the Netrix. I put a routine on there called Pure. I also put a couple of different matrices and a couple of different transpositions that also just use regular coins, English coins, or whatever it is that you've got on you. The Pure transposition is a transposition between a 10p and a 2p with no gimmicks or extras or anything like that. So that's a really good one. There's tons of stuff that you can actually do, but those are the ones that that kind of spring instantly to mind. So the next question is less of a question, more of a statement. It's by Pat Jackson, and Pat says, hey Craig, another great tutorial, this time on Keymaster. Great gimmicks, methods and routines. The handling is explained in plain English, or as near to the West Midlands accents gets. I enjoyed all your tutorials, making the tricks easier to understand and pick up. Thank you. The straight, no bull, no frills approach actually makes the illusion more magical. I like your saying, don't run if you're not being chased. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much it means to see comments like that, because you work really hard and you try your absolute best to put routines together that people like. And sometimes, you know, you kind of question yourself. You kind of think, right, is this the right thing? Are people really enjoying this? And then I read comments like that, and it's just amazing. So Pat, thank you so much. So the next question is from David Blaine, and David says, your favourite tricks to perform whilst at bars? And the answer is pretty much anything. I do like a lot of coin magic. When I perform at a bar, there's no difference to the magic I'm performing at a bar and the magic I'm performing at somewhere else. If I'm paid to perform in the bar, I'm going to use the same close-up stuff that I would do in a different type of gig. And if I'm just in a bar socially having a drink, I'm going to have the same EDC items that I would do if I was, you know, somewhere else. So the location isn't really important to me. It doesn't impact, because ultimately when I'm performing magic, it's not about where I am. It's about the type of people I'm performing for. And it's about building connections with those people. And that's what dictates the type of magic that I do. Okay, so we have another question from Sting here, and Sting says, hello again, Craig. Nice Q&A, thank you. I know you and Lloyd Barnes are best of friends, yeah? Also, you are the marketing guy who gave Lloyd advice on how to grow his YouTube channel. What advice did you give him, if I may ask? Because lately his channel is crushing it. What advice would you give new and young magicians as advice to set up a magic channel and grow them successfully? Good question. I told him exactly this. Well, I told him a lot more, but you know, to succinctly brief. And first of all, there's courses on this on the Netrix on silver level. I don't mean to push you to the Netrix, but on the silver level of Netrix, there's tons of courses on the business side of magic. And one of the courses is on YouTube growth, and we're doing another one on there soon as well. But basically, there's 5 C's, and you need to really kind of focus in on those 5 C's. The first one is content. It has to be interesting. It has to be engaging. Now, the content will dictate how fast your channel grows. Lloyd is doing the type of content that's really pushing people to his channel an awful lot, which is amazing. But content is the first one. Charisma is the next one. You've got to be charismatic when you deliver this stuff. You can't just sit there not knowing, like kind of being really boring, especially if you're putting yourself over as something to do with magic. You have to be really interesting. So charisma is really important. If you watch any successful YouTuber, they won't just be talking at the same level the entire time. Their voice is going to be up and down. They're going to be using tone of voice and all that stuff that you learn about when you're performing on stage. You actually will see that being used by a lot of YouTubers as well. So you've got you've got content, you've got charisma, you've got you want to. It's not a C, but you want to think about your niche. You want to think about the type of people you want to attract to your YouTube channel, right? Okay, that's really important. The next one, and the big one in my opinion, is consistency. You want to be consistent. You want the algorithm, and you want the people that are subscribing to you to know when your next upload is. If you think about Lloyd, and this is the big piece of advice I gave him, he uploads on Tuesday and Friday and does have a live session on a Sunday, right? You know that stuff's coming up. People are buzzing about his videos dropping before they even drop because of how he's set that up. And people know that every single week, week in, week out, he's going to hit that upload schedule. So consistency is so important, and it's also the thing that most people fall down on. It's the thing that most people don't do very well, and they go, oh, I'm going to miss a week, I'm going to miss 2 weeks, I'm going to miss 3 weeks, and think it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, because people who are maybe anticipating your video have now gone in a different direction, so when it does go, they tend not to watch it, right? So that sort of stuff is very, very important. So charisma, content, and consistency. Throw another C in there, call to action. You want to have a call to action. What's the purpose of doing this YouTube channel? Why are you doing it? Because whatever that reason is, you need a call to action at the end. If your purpose, your sole purpose is to have a YouTube channel that just gets more subscribers, then have a link to your subscribe button. If you want a channel that's going to push more people to a particular product, have that particular product set up. And have it as a link and so on and so forth. So all of this stuff is really, really important. But charisma, content, consistency, call to action. Those are the big points that I would try and hit. And, when's the best time to do a YouTube channel? 6 months ago. If you'd done it 6 months ago, you'd be way further along now. When's the next time to do it? Right now. As soon as this video's finished, stop watching it, go set your YouTube channel up and start putting stuff on it. Okay, so we've got one final question, which quite a few people have asked, and it's regarding a Facebook post that I put on Facebook this last week, moaning about people saying I'm nasty. And it's just a very small section of people. Thank you to everyone that reached out, commented on the Facebook page, sent me a message or whatever. I really appreciate it. I was just having a bit of a bad day. That's all it is. And normally if I have a bad day, I don't share it on Facebook. This time I did. I put a video up a few days ago, and it was about magic clubs, and it was meant to be a positive video. It wasn't a rant. It went up on a Thursday. It was not a rant. It was a video talking about issues that there are with magic clubs in the magic community and what we can do as a community to fix those problems. And I was talking about stuff like having visitor hosts and organising competitions and all this stuff. And there's a couple of points in there that a few friends of mine took exception to and decided to let me know in certain terms they weren't happy with my actions. Nothing I can do about that. I can't please all the people all the time. I've tried to do that throughout my entire career. I've tried to be the guy that pleases everybody, and I end up pissing everyone else off. So, I tried my absolute best not to do that anymore. Having said that, this kind of came very left field because I wasn't expecting it from the people that gave it to me. So, yeah, I was a bit down in dumps, hence the post. I'm okay now. But thank you very much for everybody who reached out to check to see if I was okay. I'm fine. So there you go, guys. That's another Q&A in the bag. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. You want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You want a question answered on the next Q&A, just leave it in the comments of this video. Make sure it's on there by Tuesday or Wednesday at the latest, and then that guarantees that will be answered. And if you haven't already done so, go check out the Netrix, www.thenetrix.com. We're waiting for you. See you on the other side, all of that fun marketing jargon. And I'll see you again soon, right here on Magic TV. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you have an amazing Sunday.